Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, last class, we discussed Wheatstone bridge circuit briefly, and we also derived expression for initial balancing. What was the expression? R1 by R2 is equal to R3 by R4. Remember, we are into second chapter, that is Unit 2, signal conditioning devices, and in signal conditioning devices, we are studying the converting circuits or conversion circuits. And as we discussed yesterday, Wheatstone bridge is one of the conversion circuit. Now, what sort of conversion it does? The resistance change. Let that resistance change be due to strain change, or let it be due to temperature change. Whatever is the cause of resistance change, uh, that resistance change is converted into voltage change. So resistance is getting converted into voltage change. So Wheatstone bridge is one such converting circuit. That's what we discussed, and we saw the condition for initial balancing. Just and today we'll try to derive the expression for output voltage. Okay. Please be attentive. Take a piece of paper. Draw Wheatstone bridge circuit quickly. Draw the sketch. Take a pen and paper. Draw the sketch so that simultaneously we'll do the simple derivation is there. We'll do the derivation part of it. Okay. I'll make it full screen. Okay, hopefully it is visible now. Just take annotation, spotlight. Okay, draw this circuit. We have A, B, C, D as the apex points, and we have R1, R2, R3, and R4 as the four resistances. Across A and C, I am giving supply voltage Vs, and across B and D, I am taking out output voltage, isn't it? This is how we have to write. You have to just show what are the currents in branch in arm AB. We have I1 current flowing. In arm AD, we have I2 current flowing, isn't it? Right? Hopefully you have noted down. Now, what is our objective? Yesterday we saw when all the resistances were equal, there was no resistance change, the output was 0. Now we saw what should be the condition for initial balancing. What is the meaning of initial balance? Initial balance means output voltage is 0, isn't it? Now, today we'll see if one of the arms of the bridge, or two arms, or four arms, all these resistances are replaced by strain gauges, let us say. So what will happen when the strain gauges are subjected to strains, length change, the resistances change. Now, as the resistance change, take the first case. One of the arms is this resistance is removed. Remaining R2, R3, and R4 are same. Those are kept as they are. Only R1 is replaced by a strain gauge. And what has happened to the strain gauge? Strain gauge is mounted on the specimen which is loaded. Maybe some tensile strain I have applied, and because of the tensile strain, I have increase in length. And that increase in length of the specimen material will be transmitted to resistance wire. So resistance wire length will also increase. And as you remember, resistance of any conducting wire is proportional to length of the wire. With increase in length, the resistance also increases. So what has happened now? R2, R3 and R4 are same, but R1 has changed. Now what happens? The bridge becomes unbalanced, isn't it? So what do you mean by unbalanced? Because of change in resistance, the potential at B and potential at D will no longer remain same. So there is a potential difference, isn't it? There is a potential difference across B and D, and the current starts flowing in this branch, right? And if we measure that output voltage will correspond to change in resistance R1. That is, let us call it as dR1. So in this exercise, we are going to derive expression for output voltage V0 when the bridge is unbalanced. Why the bridge is unbalanced? Because one of the resistances has changed. Why one of the resistances has changed? Because either it is subjected to length change or it is subjected to temperature change. Whatever is the cause, it is subjected to resistance change. And because of that, the output volt is changing. Now we want to derive expression for this change in output voltage. Original output voltage was, let us say, V0. With increase of strain, resistance will also increase and V0 will also increase. So that dV0, so the voltage will change from V0 to V0 plus dV0. Then we'll find out how much will be that dV0. Okay, hope you are following what I'm saying. Okay, let us start now. Have you drawn the sketch? Fine. This I1 and I2. Consider what happens when one of the resistances changes from the balanced condition. We are interested in output voltage V0. V0 is across between B and D. We call it as voltage VD. Okay. The supply voltage Vs is connected between points A and C. This is why supply voltage Vs. Okay. Now VBD, the potential difference between B and D. VBD. We are interested in that voltage. The supply voltage Vs is connected so and so. So V0 will be equal to potential VB, VAB, or potential at B. No problem. VB also we can say, and VD also we can say, or we can say VAB minus VAD. VAB minus VAD. So V0 according to VAB minus VAD. So V0 is equal to VAB minus VAD. Okay. Now let us see. VAB is equal to potential drop across AB. Potential drop across AB is VAB. VAB is I1, current flowing is I1 and resistance is R1. So I1, R1 is VAB. I1, R1 is VAB. So solving it for I1, what I get? I1 is equal to VAB upon R1. This is my equation number 1. So see, VAB is equal to I1 into R1. VAB is I1 into R1. So I1 is VAB upon R1. This is my equation number 1. Okay. Now, be very attentive now. Just forget about R3 and R4. Just forget about R3 and R4. Just consider the loop ABC. Loop ABC. Think that nothing is there. Or if you have a piece of paper, draw one more circuit showing VS. Yes, start with VS. Show A, show R1, show B, show RB, show R2, and show C, and complete the circuit. Don't draw these things. So draw one circuit. So let that current be I1. Okay. So consider loop. Hope you are attentive. Take a piece of paper and what I said, draw one more circuit starting from VS, A, B, C, and complete the circuit. Don't draw R2 and R3 and R4. Don't draw this V0. Then draw only I1, R1, R2, and then VS. So consider loop A, B, C, and VS. Okay. So for this circuit, VS, A, B, C, What is the current flowing? Forget about I2. What is the current flowing? Current flowing is I1. Right? The same current is flowing through R2 also. So current flowing is I1. So what is Kirchhoff's voltage law saying? Total potential drop. Please be attentive. Have you drawn this circuit? Eliminating R3 and R4 and V0? You have drawn only Vs, A, B, C. Okay, so look at only this part. So Kirchhoff's voltage law, what it says, total potential drop across the circuit Vs will be equal to individual potential drops. Now what are the components in the circuit now? In Vs, ABC, Vs is there, R1 is there and R2 is there. So total potential drop Vs will be equal to I1 into R1 plus same I1 into R2. So taking I1 common, I have Vs will be equal to I1 into bracket R1 plus R2. That is what is written here. Vs is equal to R1 plus R2 into I1. Solving it for I1, I1 will be equal to Vs upon R1 plus R2. This is my equation number 2. Now both equations 1 and 2 correspond to I1. So we can equate these two equations. What we get? VAB. Okay. Equating these two equations and solving for VAB. So after equating, what happens? VAB upon R1 is equal to Vs upon R1 plus R2. Taking R1 on right hand side, Vs into R1 upon R1 plus R2. Everyone has got it? Please be attentive. Equating 1 and 2 and solving for VAB. What we get? VAB is equal to Vs into R1 upon R1 plus R2. This is equation number 3. What we are interested? We are interested in V0. V0 is VAB minus VAD. VAB minus VAD. Out of VAB minus VAD, we have found out VAB. VAB is Vs into R1 upon R1 plus R2. My equation number 3. Now, consider the second loop. Take a piece of paper. What you do now? Draw Vs, A, D, C. Forget about V0, forget about R1 and R2. Okay? Forget about R1 and R2. Forget about I1 also. So draw this circuit. Vs, A, R1, D, R4 and C. Okay, so lower part, lower loop, and current flowing is I2. So what will be the equation? First equation, the potential drop VAD will be equal to what? VAD is I2 into R3. VAD is I2 into R3. Solving for I2, what you get? I2 will be equal to VAD upon R3. I2 will be equal to VAD upon R3. This will be one equation. Now, consider this lower loop now. Total potential drop Vs will be equal to potential drop across R3 plus potential drop across R4. So, Vs will be equal to I2 into R3 plus I2 into R4. So, taking I2 common, Vs will be equal to I2 into R3 plus R4. This will be a second equation. Equating VAD equation, right? Both are solved for I2. Equating these two equations, what you get? VAD will be equal to Vs into R3 by R3 plus R4. This is equation number 4. Hopefully, you are doing it. Right? Getting it? They're going very slowly. So VAD is equal to Vs into R3 by R3 plus R4. Now what we are interested in, V0 is equal to VAB minus VAD. What we need to do now? Subtracting equation 4 from equation 3. So that will be our Next step. So V naught is equal to VAB minus VAD. VAD. Now instead of substituting, what should I have written? Okay. Subtracting VAB minus VAD. Equation 3, equation 4 from equation 3. So what you get? V is common. Instead of VAB, what I have? R1 upon R1 plus R2 minus, for VAD, R3 upon R3 plus R4. So this is the equation for output voltage V naught. So this is just put it in squares. Bracket taka V naught will be equal to VAB minus VAD, which is equal to VS into R1 upon R1 plus R2 minus R3 upon R3 plus R4. This is my equation number 5. Okay. Let us move forward. So now this is the equation for output voltage. Now let us see. When I change resistance R1 by DR1, means what? Originally resistance was R1. After subjecting it to strain or after subjecting it to some temperature change, this resistance will change from R1 to R1 plus DR1. What is DR1? DR1 is a small change. That small change could be because of epsilon change or strain change or length change or maybe temperature change. So resistance R1 is changing. Consider R1 to be a sensor which has a resistance change DR. Change in resistance from R1 to R1 plus DR1 gives a change in output from V0 to V0 plus dV0. V0 plus dV0. Okay, from equation number 5, let us write this equation number 6. So what has happened? Now the sensor is maybe, if it is a temperature sensor, that sensor is immersed in temperature bath. With increasing temperature, the resistance also has changed, it has increased, let us say. The bridge is unbalanced, it has started showing me output voltage. So that output voltage change is dV0. So V0 changes from V0 to V0 plus dV0. Substituting in equation number 5. So V0 plus dV0 will be equal to, for R1, what we have to substitute? R1 to R1 plus dR1. So V0 plus dV0 is equal to Vs into, instead of R1, I have slowly noted down R1 plus dR1. See, just by listening, the things won't work. You have to take a piece of paper, pen, start writing. Then only you can understand and remember. These expressions you cannot listen. The analytical part किंवा गणित ऐकून येत नसतात किंवा डेरिवेशन पण ऐकून येत नाही. You need to write it down and you have to practice it. Simple things are there, but you have to understand and practice and write down. So V0 plus dV0 is equal to Vs, common as it is. Instead of R1, I have R1 plus dR1 divided by, instead of R1, I have R1 plus dR1 plus R2. Only R1 is changing, isn't it? R1 is replaced by R1 plus dR1. R is replaced by R1 plus dR1. R2 is kept as it is. R3 and R4 are as they are. We are not changing R3 and R4 in this case. Okay. Now we can have 4-arm bridge configuration wherein all the resistances are changing. We can derive expression for that also. We are taking the first case where one of the resistances is changing now. So R1 is changing from R1 to R1 plus dR1. 1 plus dR1. So subtracting 5 from 6, V0 plus dV0 minus V0. What will remain? This V0 and V0 will get cancelled. Only dV0 will remain on left hand side. Now, Vs. Okay, Vs into this part. So what will be the term? Just you try to do it, whatever I'm telling. Vs into first part of the term. This is R1 plus dR1 upon R1 plus dR1 plus R2. Vs into this first term minus Vs into second part of the term. What is it? Vs into R3 upon R3 plus R4. So I'll be having Vs into first term as it is minus Vs into second part as it is. Minus, here also same thing. Vs into first part as it is minus Vs into second part as it is. So what you observe, when I subtract 5 from 6, what happens? Only left hand side dV0 remains, Vs remains common throughout. R1 plus dR1 upon R1 plus dR1 plus R2 minus R1 upon R1 plus R2. This only will remain because Vs into R3 upon R3 plus R4 minus of minus means plus Vs into R3 upon R3 plus R4. These terms will get cancelled, isn't it? The second part will get cancelled. Vs into R3 upon R3 plus R4 will get cancelled. What will remain is dV0 is equal to, you do it, you'll understand, Vs into R1 plus dR1 upon R1 plus dR1 plus R2 minus R1 upon R1 plus R2. Only this part will remain. This also you can simplify by cross multiplication. By cross multiplication, making a common denominator, you can multiply, you can neglect small terms because this dR1 will be very small compared to R1. While discussing the transducer, strain gauge transducer, how much was the resistance change? If the original resistance is of 200 ohm, this change in resistance dR was to the tune of 0.02 ohm, corresponding to 200 ohm original resistance. The change in resistance was 0.02 ohm. So wherever you get some terms along with R2, dR1 plus R2, dR1 plus R1, so you can neglect those terms, and if you do the simplification, you get dV0 is approximately equal to Vs into dR1 upon R1 plus R2. Other terms get nullified, or being very small, we neglect those terms. And after those simplifications, we get dV0, change in output voltage dV0. Why this change in output voltage is occurring? Because of change in resistance from R1 to R1 plus dR1. So dV0 is approximately equal to, because we have used some approximations, Vs into dR1 upon R1 plus R2. So what does it mean? This approximation, the change in output voltage is thus proportional to the change in resistance of the sensor. So in Wheatstone bridge, prove that change in output voltage is proportional to change in resistance. We can derive this expression and show if asked. Okay, so this dV0 is proportional because Vs is fixed, Vs is constant, isn't it? So dR1 is the varying resistance. So dV0 is proportional to change in resistance. Change in voltage is proportional to change in resistance. So this is the second part of the derivation, friends. Let us move further. If you have understood, let us go to the modulation part. Quickly, we'll try to finish. This is also converting circuitry. Pulse amplitude modulation we'll see, and next we'll see pulse width modulation. So PAM and PWM, PAM and PWM. Pulse amplitude modulation. What is the need for this modulation, pulse amplitude modulation? Remember, we have seen operational amplifiers. What these amplifiers do? Amplifier receive a weak signal from the transducer and they amplify it. Their magnitude increases, their amplitude increases, isn't it? So the amplifiers amplify a weak signal to a higher value. But what is observed is that if you do consistent amplification, what happens is over a period of time, the output tends to drift away. म्हणजे काय? 2 millivolt इनपुट होतं माझ्या एम्प्लिफायरला. 2 millivolt समजा मला थर्मोकपल कडनं येतं. and that 2 millivolt, I am giving it as input to my operational amplifier. And that operational amplifier has a gain of, let us say, 10. What happens as the output? The operational amplifier, what output it gives? Is gain 10 into input millivolt 2. So 20 millivolt will be the output. So over a period of time, what happens is this 20 millivolt gets drifted away. So thereafter, when next signal comes, some stray currents will stay back. So for next 4 millivolt input, it should ideally show 4 millivolt multiplied by 10, a gain of 10. It should ideally show 40 millivolt as output from that amplifier. But it tends to show maybe 42, 44, 46. So this is the offset, or we can say it drifts from its performance. The gain does not remain same. It gets amplitude, it gets varied because of change in input signals. So if I give one continuous analog signal to the operational amplifier, its output gets drifted away. Now this problem of drifting away, काय होणार आहे drifting मुळे? My further suppose that signal is going to actuation. Actuator requires only signal worth of 20 millivolt only, but it is receiving a signal worth 24 millivolt. So my performance will deteriorate. I will not get the desired output, isn't it? So I need to eliminate this drift part or offset part. So what I do, whatever analog signal I am receiving, instead of giving this analog signal, instead of amplifying this analog signal, what is done? Analog signal means क्या? The signal which is continuously varying with respect to time. Now this is the analog signal. This is a continuous signal varying with time. माझा thermocouple continuously मला output voltage देतो. With increase in temperature inside the furnace, it is giving me output voltage, which is continuously varying with respect to time. With respect to time म्हणजे काय? 0 second, 1 second, 2 second. त्याप्रमाणे temperature वाढतं, त्याप्रमाणे voltage पण वाढतं. It is an analog signal I am receiving. So instead of giving this analog signal to amplifier as it is, what they do? They chop it down. They छोटे-छोटे pieces करायचे. Right? Chopping it down. So instead of eating the whole bread chunk, if you just slice it, it is easier to digest, isn't it? Easier to eat. So just chopping it down, slicing it down. So this signal is, instead of this continuous signal, it is chopped into pieces. Chopped into pieces. So it becomes a series of pulses now. This analog signal has become, well, you have one chopping circuitry. Okay, for that, for chopping this analog signal. So what is this chopping? I am converting this continuous signal into series of pulses now. Now the time band is very small. Okay, don't worry. So it does not mean that this original signal will be altered. No, this sampling will be very faster. The slicing will be very faster. Okay, so a band of pulses is generated first of all. Now this band of pulses is amplified. So whatever, this is the size of amplitude. Now amplified, it was just modulated or chopped signal. Now it is amplified and amplified modulated signal. Can you see the increase in height? So that is amplitude is increased. So this chopped or modulated signal is amplified, right? And then see, this signal is once again is needed to be converted into analog signal, let us say, because by chopping, what has happened? I have converted that analog signal into partially digital signal. Now the digital signal, partially digital signal is amplified. Now for functioning of a, let us say, some actuating motor is there, a DC motor is there. Once again, it requires analog signal. So this pulse signal is needed to be converted into analog signal once again. Okay, so original signal is analog, so it is converted to pulse signal. The pulse signal is amplified, and then it is converted into analog output voltage. And this is used for actuation purposes, let us say. Okay, so What I am doing here? I am modulating the amplitude of the input signal. Isn't it? This was the original amplitude. This is the amplified amplitude. So the amplitude I am modulating, and hence the name pulse amplitude modulation. Why pulse? Because the analog signal is converted into series of pulses. So hence the name pulse amplitude modulation. Pulse amplitude modulation. Okay, quickly recap. Be attentive. Original signal is continuous DC voltage analog signal. First it is modulated, that means it is chopped into number of pulses. And these pulses correspond to, it follows the analog signal. Okay. मी काय pulses माझ्या मनाने नाही करत. बरोबर, it should be corresponding to my analog signal. And this chopped or pulsed modulated signal is amplified. The amplitude is amplified. And then this amplified modulated signal is demodulated to get back my amplified DC voltage. So through this pulse amplitude modulation, I am avoiding the effects of drift or upset. Those are obtained in my operational amplifiers. Okay, quickly we'll see the text part of it. PAM. Okay. Father. Pulse modulation. A problem that is often encountered, please be attentive. A problem that is often encountered in dealing with transmission of low-level DC signals from sensors transducers is that the gain of an operational amplifier used to amplify them may drift. Drift म्हणजे लांब जाणे. Drift म्हणजे मला amplification with 10 gain पाहिजे, ते मला कदाचित 12 गेनचं amplification देईल. It used to amplify them may drift, and so the output drifts. This problem can be overcome if the signal is a sequence of pulses rather than a continuous time signal. One way this conversion can be achieved is by chopping the DC signal. The output from the chopper is a chain of pulses, the heights of which are related to the DC level of the input signal. This process is called pulse amplitude modulation. After amplification and any other signal conditioning, the modulated signal can be demodulated to give a DC output, amplified DC output. With pulse amplitude modulation, the height of the pulses is related to the size of the DC voltage, isn't it? Height of the pulses corresponds to the size of the DC voltage that is amplified. Okay, friends, we'll stop for today.